Can you see the city?
Yeah, you can see it. It is the 24th, and
Hi, Mom.
I'm sitting here with Kenny White. Mom's not that far away. We are at the top, Green Valley. That is Vegas in the background. No shirts, no jackets
We need to
needed.
tilt it a little bit. My head's going to get cut off.
No jackets needed. If we tilt it too high, you won't see me because I'm 5'6" and he's a lot taller. Now,
You get the Tom Cruise box.
let's
and
talk
stand
about
up.
Cleveland. And well, first thing I want to say that we didn't talk about this before video. I just flew in from Chicago.
Okay.
Something funny about teams that lose. Nobody was wearing White Sox hats. Nobody was wearing Cubs hats. Everyone, after they got swept, we were wearing Blackhawks jerseys, Blackhawks hats. I'm asking people why. We got to stand behind our team. It's so funny how everybody wants to rise and have pride with the losing team.
Right.
It's just, I don't know if you've ever.
Well, they should be wearing
You're born
Cub
and
hats
bred.
still.
You're
They
born
won
in
the World Series.
You're born and bred in Vegas.
Yeah.
And you never experienced that, but you come from a town that has, so many professional sporting events. You're going to have your hockey team now. And
I can't wait.
here the Blackhawks get swept.
Yeah.
And you'd think they'd be burning the stuff.
Right.
Everybody was wearing black. This is yesterday.
Wow.
I just flew in from Chicago.
That's weird.
And I said, what's with it? We got to stand behind. We got to show them because they're all depressed. We want to pump up. They're literally going to the White Sox and Cub games wearing Blackhawks hats.
Wow, interesting.
It's just so funny. Yeah, now I know Brian, our friend Brian's a hockey freak. We don't have to talk too much about that.
You don't even need to put quotes around it.
We don't need to. Did you do anything with the NHL playoffs so far?
No.
Capitals won one last night. They finally came back.
Nothing
Are you
for me in
excited like Brian? Because, I'll do the radio show with him, and I tell him, please, you're going to do another hour with hockey. I don't want to hear about it. I'll hear about it in the next hour. You're born here. You've never had a pro team. You've lived here your whole life, and now you're going to have the NHL, and you're going to also have Oakland, the future Vegas NFL
Raiders.
team. So what's your take on, first of all, having this NHL pro team?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I've been dying to get pro sports here. And we just knew that the NHL would be first. We talked about it for such a long time. Then after they came, we thought Major League Baseball may be second or NBA, and then NFL would be last. But now that the NFL jumped in, the NBA and Major League Baseball will be.
So now my son said to me, it's Major League Baseball, and there's only one team left not in the United States. And since Toronto is the worst team this year, why don't they pull them from Canada and bring them to Vegas?
It's a good idea. Toronto's such a large city, though. It's hard to take it away from there. But you know what? The athletes will like it because the taxes are much different. So.
And how about the weather between Toronto and Vegas?
What a difference! Yeah, you love the heat, and if you're a hitter, you'd love it here because the ball's going to carry.
Now,
but they'll build a retractable
like
stadium.
Wind like this reminds me
Chase.
of Chicago. I mean, it'd be hard to hit. It depends. You get some windy days here.
Yeah, it gets windy because we're a valley and it whips through here. But we need it because it'll wipe out all of the smog in the valley because we are a valley, so you get all that smog built up. So you got to have the wind to clean us out.
So let me ask you, from a betting point of view, do you expect the handle to rise with NHL? Or do you think it's just going to be more of a fanfare, people flying in and out to go to the games?
No, it'll rise. It'll definitely go up. Hockey right now.
Square or professional better?
Oh, square. I think it'll be more square. I don't know why with the professionals. The professionals don't care where the game's being played,
right?
Other than it's in their handicap. I don't think professionals are going to bet more on this game because it's played here in Vegas. But the squares, I think more people will bet. And they'll get accounts. I'm going to go make a bet on my account at the game. You can play it every period, anytime, in game as well. So I think you'll see hockey may double just because of the team in town, because the proof is the biggest betting NASCAR race is the Vegas race.
Right.
They're all here betting it.
So let me ask you, the other day, I think it was Saturday. Who played on Saturday? They was down big and they came back and won. Was that the Warriors or Cleveland?
Cleveland was down big.
Okay, so I did an in-game live wager, and one of the places here, and they limited me $200, and it was like $200 to win $710. And then Portland hit a shot, and they tightened the lead, and it was on the board. It went $200 to win $310. And then I went up and I tried to bet $500, and they said no.
So it was Golden State actually. If it was Portland, Golden State was playing Portland.
Portland, the Golden State game.
Yeah.
And they were down big. And then they came back and crushed it in the second half. So this was after halftime. So I had Portland plus 7.5, and then I took the Warriors minus 7 in the second half, 7.5, and then I started in-game playing it. I don't want to name the place here.
Yeah.
They would not let me do real money. When I say real money, I don't mean to be like cocky. But they wouldn't let more than these two. Like, they're so. Am I wrong, Kenny? You live here your whole life. They're so scared of in-game live wagering and getting beat.
Well, it's new. It's new. So, they like to have records of what bets they take and what sports they take.
I mean, you were going to play
And
Portland. It was minus 750 to win 100. Who's going to play that?
Right. Yeah, it's probably was just a bad number as well. 'Cause
Right.
You're right. Who is going to lay that? A
Right.
professional's not going to lay it because they know Golden State's got the firepower to come back and win the game.
So I wound up winning the Warriors minus 7.5 in the second half, and I actually won Portland plus 7
7.5.
because they lost by 6.
Nice.
Not to mention the in-game wagers, but
Yeah.
the thing was, the second half wager they had no limit.
But now, can't you, when you're betting that, can't you bet 200 and then when the line moves, like
Another
5 minutes
200.
later, bet another
But if you
200?
wanted to bet 500 or 1,000,
Right.
no way.
But you know what? But you see, though, it could add up, though. If you make 10
It did.
bets,
It
you
did.
get
It did.
$2,000
It did.
down.
But
on
every
the game.
time that Portland hit a 3, it would go from like plus 700 to plus 300.
Right.
I mean, the odds were moving that
Right,
quickly.
right,
And so I was wondering from you, they want handle, they want action. They pitch the
Yeah.
game, the in-game live trading aspect, and then they don't want to give you the money.
They've done that with a lot of different sports here in town, and the more they make, the more comfortable they're going to get. But they're going to sweat every penny right now in game because they don't want to lose, because it's a tough market to beat. So they're going to limit you in that. But again, if you bet it 10 times, at least you can get a couple times down.
So now let me ask you, since we all know you can go and get his direct plays at the X Factor, what is the X Factor in MLB? You have these future bets a couple weeks ago. We're only 2.5, 3 weeks in. You see dogs have been winning. Washington Nationals up the street from me. They're rolling. 7-game winning streak as of today of this video. Baltimore is rolling. Obviously, Cincinnati's horrible. San Francisco's horrible. Doesn't mean they can't win games.
I think they'll turn it around.
Yeah, so we know it's
There's
a
a
long
couple
season.
teams,
Dogs
yeah.
have been winning big in the beginning of the season. What would you say the big X factor? Most people, I still go back to just purely handicapping pitchers is not the way to do it, unless you're doing first 5 innings.
Well, you still got to handicap the lineups because some teams hit lefties better than righties, some teams hit righties better than lefties, and the pitcher's still, the first 5 innings, the pitcher's 75% of the wager.
So that's if you're gonna handicap pitchers, it would behoove you to make a first 5-inning wager.
If you're going off just starting pitching, yes, correct. I
Right.
would say that I like to do a lot of first 5 inning stuff.
Right,
Just
and-
because I do a lot with starting pitchers.
And then do you look at the bullpen as well to see how bad that bullpen is to hold the lead when the guy gets relieved?
Yes, I do, but it's so tight. It's like defense. Defensive fielding percentage from the top to the bottom, there's such a small separation. It's like when we talk about NFL and the parity. Well, the parity on playing defense, there's so much parity on every team. They're all good defensive players. Sometimes it's just the unlucky bounce of the ball, something that happened in a situation. Same thing with relief pitching. Every team's got great pitchers in their bullpen, but sometimes they get injuries, they lose 1 or 2 key guys. They may only have 1 lefty in their pen. And that could hurt them as well because he comes in and gets 2 lefties out in the 7th, and then all of a sudden in the 9th you need a lefty and you don't have one,
Right.
and you give up that 3-run home run, and that's part of handicapping the bullpen.
And this is the thing, like the other day, and I never do it, and I always say if you're going to play the run line, you want to play the run line on the road favorite,
Yep.
not the home team. And the other day I was being greedy. I didn't want to lay the home team favorite on a home team, so I took the home team run line, and of course they gave up a cheap run to the team on the top of the 9th,
Yeah.
and I lost by 1. The team won by.
Don't
it's
feel
like
bad.
You can't do it.
I haven't had much success with run lines myself this year, but I do stick to that. If I'm going to lay a 1.5, I will only lay it with the road team because I know they're going to get 9 at-bats. And if I'm taking a 1.5, I'm going to take it with a home team because I know if they don't bat 9 times, they won the game straight up anyway.
Right, but it almost seems to me like the home team, if they're winning the game, and it's like they're going to let that other team score in the top of the 8th inning. Like if they can give up a cheap run and make it a
that'll
1-run
happen.
game,
That
sacrifice, give them a cheap run, and like you're winning by 3 runs, all of a sudden you're winning by 1 run, and then you're like, oh, we're going to get to the top of the 9th. Now they're going to strike the side out. You just lost your run line.
I think a two-run lead in the 8th kind of feels like a 2-touchdown lead in the NFL.
Right.
And you give up that gimme touchdown and it cuts it to 7.
And you blew the
Same
run
here,
line.
Right, you blow the run line.
Right.
So it does happen a lot, but I don't feel bad. I've lost more games so far early in the season taking a 1.5 with a home team.
Oh, taking the 1.5, but plus 1.5.
Yeah, and I lose 3-1, 4-2, 3-1, 4-2. Like, are you kidding me?
Do you ever go both ways? Now, we're only talking in sports, people. Do you ever go both ways? As in, I know these guys that try to arb the game, they think it's going to be a defensive matchup or a one-game game, and they take the home favorite plus 1.5 on the road team for the home team to win by 1 because they know it's not going to go to the bottom of the ninth.
Right.
And now you have both. You have let's say minus 140 at home,
Right.
plus 1.5 on the road, minus 140. So
Yeah,
now
you're laying a price both ways.
40 cent. You're two favorites.
And I don't know what the percentage is. I think you probably win that bet once out of 6 times.
Right. So you lay.
You win them both.
Right. So you're
The
laying
five- the six-
$400 to
the
win
5 times
2,000.
you lose, you're losing the $40 on one side. But
Right.
the only way to beat that or win that type of system is by taking the lead on where you think the line's actually going to go. So if you think the favorite's going to go up, lay the $1.40, it goes to 160 where your plus run line just went down.
Got it. Got it. I think the security guard in the corner is going to try to stop us recording this video. What do you think?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's going to say.
Might,
What,
but we're
is
just
it-
taking
is it's taking a gander and it is one of
kind
the
of a postcard.
one of the best views. Exactly. So, anything else you want to say about the MLB?
It's the same thing what you were talking about. Streaks are so big right now. You see a team that gets up, wins 5 in a row. Don't bet against that team. Don't get in front of the locomotive. They're playing good baseball. Team that's lost 5 in a row, start to fade them. Don't try to back a team that's playing bad right now. And these teams go up and down in so many streaks that the beginning of the year, there's excitement. The season started. 5 days in, these guys are like, oh my God, we got 157 more to go.
Do you readjust and make long-term bets for the season? Readjust your series bets?
No, not really. I do. I'll look at some stuff if I think I got a team that's playing poorly right now that I think is going to turn it around, and I maybe have some future odds.
That's
out
what I
there.
meant, future odds.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll take. I'm one or two a year probably.
When do you start cracking on the football?
Another month from now, I'll start
Another month he starts cracking on the football. So this is your
college football together.
X Factor report. Go to oddsxfactor.com. If you're playing a nickel or dime a game, click that little VIP link, call the office to get that password. Watch the additional videos that we've done online, the tutorials, learn how to break down the numbers. You hear a lot of guys talk about having access to lines makers. They must know you are the Kenny White because the security guy literally did an about face turnaround and rode his mountain bike the other way, unbelievably. We tried this at the Hard Rock Cafe. They weren't hearing it. They weren't having it. They didn't want to hear nothing about it. But the reality is this. Everybody talks about having access to lines makers. Not to say beat a dead horse for people who haven't watched this video. And real quick, you are a line maker first and foremost, not a handicapper. So you make your own line before you actually handicap the game.
Kind of opposite, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Right,
because,
clarify.
Well, I do my handicap on the game, and I that's the beginning. That's what takes all the time. The work is coming up with how good I actually think that team is, and then I make the number on what my handicap line is going to be. So I say the baseball game, $1.80.
Okay, so
Now I make my odds maker line, and I compare 2 charts that I'm going to update. It takes me about 20 minutes a day to update from the previous night to make an adjustment to who was short, who was long, how the total was, and then I go, boom, $1.40. Oh, my, I made it 80. I'm going to send out 45. I'll make an adjustment from the send out, but that line doesn't take me
So
long
what
to
I
make.
what I really meant is a traditional handicapper is going to a place like Don Best or scoresandodds.com and they're looking at the line and they're just handicapping the line that's already been set. They're not actually doing the work that you're doing, making your
Yeah.
own number.
Making my own number, but I'm making 2 numbers. I'm making my handicap number, and then I'm making
Right.
an
What I'm
odds
saying
number
is
that-
most handicappers are not doing that. They're just
Yeah.
handicapping off the number that's already been given.
Yeah, well, they're looking at it going, yeah, that looks short or whatever. But there's so many numbers people now that are crunching numbers that coming up with their own line. There's more and more people coming up with numbers, so that's what's made it tougher. It's more difficult now than ever because those guys are getting in early, moving the line, and then you got to really, really be sharp to pick and choose,
Especially
to find
in the
the
NBA.
right game, to find the right game. Yeah.
And NBA just asked me on the Pacers that pushed last night. I mean,
So you got to find where those weaknesses are. There's weaknesses out there, and I've always talked about it. The totals are the weakest.
right. And
That's still
the second half.
Second half stuff, yeah.
And you call that pace of play.
for NBA. Yeah, pace of plays.
Is there
That's
a reason
what
why
it's
they
all
don't
about.
do a second half play in MLB? You can do the first 5.
I don't know.
but you can't do the second 5?
I think you can. I think you can do the last 4.
You can?
I think some offshore books have.
I mean, you can do the in-game live now, but I was
last
just
4.
wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can do the last 4 innings.
Well, like I said, it's not the doldrums of summer. In the old days, it used to be the doldrums of summer.
Right,
Now it's just
now?
now it's just
That doesn't come till August.
right, exactly. And then before you know it, then you have real
Then football's here.
Now you again, no matter what you say, preseason football. We're jumping ahead is not something to invest a lot of money into.
No, I don't bet a lot in preseason. I don't know who wants to play, who wants to win. They don't care. The wins don't count. So
Right,
all they're
exactly.
trying to do is get in shape.
Right, exactly. So again, like I said, enjoy baseball. It still is. I say you
Still the best sport.
We did our Millionaire Maker video. If you haven't seen it, call the office. We'll get you a link to the Millionaire Maker report. We're not going to redo another one because that video literally stands the test of time. And like you said, you're not worrying about. One thing I love about
You can see how much we aged too.
exactly, and the beard got a little longer, but he always gets in better shape. The thing is, with baseball, it's like everything else. It's not my team won and they didn't cover. You pick the winner. You pick the winner.
That's it. Hit the
And
winner. Find the value. Find the value
So
of the winner.
let me ask you this: who do you think right now, if you said, today's the World Series, it's so early, but just for fun of it, if you're going to say somebody's going to walk in, they're coming in out of town on vacation to make a futures bet.
Well, the Cubs have the best team in baseball. Their pitching staff is loaded, and they have the best team. The Dodgers, probably the second best staff right now in baseball. Third would be the Boston Red Sox.
I don't hear about my Orioles. No respect. I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. I get none.
They got a really good
I
team.
get nothing.
They're solid, and I have a futures ticket on Baltimore.
Really?
Yeah, I did bet the Orioles to win it all.
Is that because of value? You got a good bet.
I love their lineup. They have one of the best lineups in baseball, but the best lineup in baseball doesn't really win.
We have a
World
mutual
Series.
friend. We're not going to repeat his name. He likes to bet the over in the Orioles every game almost.
And so far they're under. I think they're 12-9 to the
killing
under.
me.
But that will change, and they'll start to go over. They just went under 3 in a row to the Red Sox. I don't know how.
Right.
Now they're playing Tampa, who's an under team who's been over. So far this year.
for instance, with someone like him who has faith in their hitting,
I do too. I'm
Brian
amazed.
is let's just say. He doesn't let it sway him that they lost. He just keeps coming back with the over. And there's pros like
I went over today with the Orioles. Again,
Okay.
the number was 7.5. I'm like 7.5 with this lineup.
so when they move the line down, that's because public percentage. They start betting the under off the 3.
I don't think it's the public. I think it's more professional bettors that are going off trends and how the trends are going. Because you know what? There could be something I don't know, or Brian doesn't know, that they changed the ballpark. They might have changed the ballpark in one specific way that's helped pitchers. And you don't know what it is. And I'll tell you one thing about Camden, I can tell you, I don't know if it's changed, but there's the bleachers in center field are silver, and on a sunny day, the hitters can't see.
Got it.
On a cloudy day, they can see fine. So you have to know if it's cloudy or if it's sunny. In Baltimore, if you're living in Vegas, if you live in Baltimore, you just look
Right,
outside.
you're big into the weather, obviously.
Oh, well,
which is
well,
why
it's-
guys that send me out MLB selections the night before, I question the validity of that because even like
We're
standing here looking at the wind. I mean, how can you, especially with a total, you don't know what the
Right,
wind.
right. Well, yeah, but yeah. There's a lot of work to do with the totals, but you can do sides a day in advance because you're basing those on pitchers. But going back to the best teams, when Boston gets David Price back, and they got Price and Sale, they got 2 of the 3 best lefties in baseball. Rick Portillo won the Cy Young
I'm a
last
lefty.
year. This is a really strong pitching staff with a really good lineup. They got a lot of good young hitters.
And what about Toronto's prospects?
I think Toronto's down. I think they're going to have a long, long year. It's
What
gonna
about
be
the
a bad
Atlanta
year.
Braves?
They're going to start selling. Braves are 2-3 years away.
Got it.
2 years away. Whoa! the
Now
Braves-
that's
see the
win. That just blew my
Nice
MacBook.
catch.
Wow.
Great catch.
That shows you the wind just came behind and blew a MacBook, 15-inch MacBook, almost off the car.
If it would have been a cheeseburger, you'd have dropped it.
Exactly. Speaking of cheeseburgers, we're going to go get lunch. This is your X Factor report. Good day and good luck.